Hello, party people, and welcome to a very productive episode of Cast Party presented by Shea's Performing Arts Center. My name is Rita Sirianni, and with me today I have my co-party hosts in this corner, Juliana Tracy.
Hello.
And in this corner, Kenny Lazewski.
I see what you did. Very productive episode.
Get it?
Very good, Rita.
Thank you.
You always start off the episodes very strong with that.
I love a pun. Today we have a very special guest who we had to go backstage to locate. Please welcome to the party our teammate and Shea's technical director, Bill Hedrick. Woo!
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Glad
How are
to
you
be
doing
here.
today, Bill?
I'm fantastic. It's July. I don't normally do July at Shea's because I'm on my pool deck, but this was special, so I'm here to share some stories and love the podcast. By the way, I've caught up on a few episodes. And
Thank you.
Yay.
Thanks, Bill. You're the nicest. So Bill has had a very cool and celebrated career here at Shea's. And yes, it is July, so he doesn't have to worry about call times or how he's going to fit this onto the proscenium or what time the crew's going to leave. So we thought this would be a great time to have a chat. So just to get us started, Bill, would you be able to tell the folks at home a bit about yourself and your role here at Shea's?
Sure. I'm the technical director here, which the best way to kind of frame it is to, if you thought of Shea's not as a theater but as a manufacturing company, I'm the guy who's running the factory. I take care of all the shipping coming in and coming out, the labor, all the production elements, materials, budgeting for such, and whatever. So anything you see going up on that stage, it's my responsibility to kind of bring all the people, places, and things together in one place. That's about half my job. The other half of my job is I'm also like the concierge at a fine hotel.
Yes.
Because in most cases, a lot of the things at Shea's, the Broadway shows, the concerts, they're set up months and months in advance. Tickets go on sale months in advance. But about 90 days to 4 months out is when we start advancing the shows. And I'm the first point of contact for the people that are actually on the buses, driving the trucks, coming to Shea's, as opposed to the folks that have been in the offices and sending emails back and forth. So when all the events arrive here, I'm the first person they meet. And it's my job to make sure that they feel at home, whether they're here for a day, a week, or a long run when we do our techs, and make sure they have everything they need from catering. If they need a good restaurant to go to, we have a whole list of them. They're interested in going to Niagara Falls. Who do I call? That sort of thing. So, so it's kind of not just the technical side of it, but being a good host.
Sure.
Is the other part of the job.
I feel like, so we like to rhyme here. So like when Chris was on, who is the production manager next door, he said from barricades to buses. And I feel like that's kind of similar for you. And anything in the stage house is your domain, basically.
Yeah. Anything backstage and any of the systems that make it all work. We have a joke backstage that despite all the things that happen, there are only two things that matter when it comes to production. It's parking and food.
That's so real. Yeah.
If everybody knows where to park and they know that they're going to be eat something at some point during the day, that the rest of it will just kind of fall.
Yeah, you're doing good then. You're doing good.
Yeah.
So you use the word advancement. Can you kind of break that word down a little bit if folks have never been backstage before?
Sure. Every event that comes through, they have a contract, and in that contract is something they call a technical rider. You probably heard of the famous Van Halen story about sorting the
M&Ms.
colors of the M&Ms and
Yes.
everything. But basically the technical rider is the things that they require to make their show go. And my job is to go through that document and determine what is Shea's responsibility, and then contact whether it's a local vendor to get stuff here or back and forth with the company, with the tours. Okay, you mentioned in your rider you need 3 50-pound dewars of CO2 or non-siphoned or siphoned, getting into the nuts and bolts. And I have a couple of really good people to help me with that stuff. Sean, who's our house stagehand, and of course Mo, who's my number one assistant. And between the three of us, we handle all those details. So basically, the advance is making sure that we have an accurate schedule of when they're arriving, how long is the loading going to take. During the performances, do we have any strobes, anything we got to let front of house know?
Right.
Do you have catering needs? Basically going through line by line to make sure we have every, I dotted and T crossed. And then when the tours get here, just making sure that things go as they're supposed to. They don't always do. For the most part, the more advanced work you can get, the easier day you're probably going to have.
So what was the advanced work when you said we had rain on the stage?
That was for...
what was that for again?
The Outsiders.
What was it? What do they tell you? Just like the stage is going to have water all over it? That seems crazy to me.
The thing with the Outsiders was a tech. And what a tech is...
that's right. I forgot about that. Yes.
What a tech is when a show is going to launch. They're getting ready for their tour.
Yeah.
Now, prior to teching, what's happened is you have actors rehearsing in rehearsal studios and lighting designers in their workshops designing things. The same with the sound, the automation, every aspect of the production. They're in separate locations being coordinated by some office to get it all together. When they have tech, when they come to Buffalo and other theaters, it's the first time they're all together. And so they have to build it, step by step. So the first thing you'll have, and we've never put our rigging package. And a rigging package is, all the truss, the chain motors, all the big, heavy infrastructure that holds your lighting, your sound, your scenic elements, and everything else. Well, they haven't put it all together yet, so they have to do that first. It's kind of like building a house, step by step by step. So with the Outsiders, they had a scene, and they had it in the Broadway production where it actually rains in one of the scenes.
Yeah.
And so they had a huge system that was pretty much self-contained. The first week, once we got it installed before we opened, was about tracking down and plugging all the leaks. And there were a multitude of them. But by the time it was done, by the time we got to the 3+ weeks of building and rehearsing and testing and opened up, it was just a stunning scene.
Right.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of people. One thing I always tell patrons is that, there are a lot more people than what you see on stage behind these things. I've said a good rule of thumb is for every person you see on stage, add 2 more.
Yeah.
And that's, your general company size.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you guys literally had to, I feel like this maybe is becoming more common, but you're typically with things like Outsiders or maybe even Kimberly Akimbo when they're ice skating, like you're building a stage or a floor on top of our floor? Is that what's happening?
Their decks are self-contained. Like it comes off a truck, but they put 90% of the shows put their deck on top of our deck.
That's so interesting.
And largely because most of the touring events now have a lot of automation.
Yeah.
Scenic pieces that come in and off from stage right, stage left,
Sure.
Sometimes you have shows with turntables, God bless you, Les Mis. And one of my favorite memories from, with a turntable was, Les Mis, one day they had kind of a put-in rehearsal.
Yeah. Oh, no.
And they've been rehearsing and then pretending to be on the turntable. And this was their first interaction with the turntable live in the afternoon.
Oh, God.
And, think of the old merry-go-round when you're a kid and you try to make it go real fast so that the kids go flying off.
Yeah.
We had some of that happen.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Sacre bleu.
Yeah.
I want to be more like it always comes back to Les Mis.
It always does.
It always does. This podcast is because one of the pieces is Les Mis.
It's true.
Because Juliana was explaining it to me.
Okay.
Because I didn't know anything about it.
Did you know there was turntables in Les Mis?
No, and there's ghosts in Les Mis.
Yeah.
Well,
and they send the little kids off to fight in the front lines. It's ridiculous.
Well, the kid volunteered. But,
he volunteered.
I will say this tour that came 2 years ago, I don't think they had the turntable, right?
No turntable? I was about to ask that.
When they cut it down a few years ago, they eliminated the turntable.
Oh, man.
But then, because they had to give it over to Hamilton.
Yeah.
I was about to ask if this last one had the turntable. I guess not.
And that was a huge iconic part of that show. That was it was like the barricade, and then obviously all the pieces coming in and off on the turntable. Yeah. But yeah, no, that last tour that lasted a few years, I think they just closed like the tour officially. Didn't have that turntable.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the turntables kind of remind me of a few years ago when I started here, Bill, you told me a little bit about what you did before you got to Shea's, which was like car shows and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you did before Shea's?
Well, I was, when I first got out of college, I was in radio and wanted to be radio guy.
Sure.
You know?
Which is so great you're here today.
Yeah.
But I found that, radio, being a broadcast professional, if you're not at the top of the game, it's not a very good financially. But they needed somebody at the station that could go out and do the remote stuff, do events and everything. So I started doing that and really had a love of it. Right. But then I got into sales and marketing, and I had a number of jobs. Ended up at a company. They were an event producer, and they did conventions, trade shows, things like that nationwide. And I was the sales and marketing director for them. And one thing that would do, like, we always had a couple big shows in Las Vegas every year.
Oh, fun.
And because I had the bigger clients, they would send me out prior to the team coming out. Just, I would go to the convention center or wherever, or the hotel, wherever it was, and pave the way for our bigger clients so they could get in a day before a load in, get set up, any special needs. So I'm, tipping electricians and different union guys and Teamsters and stuff to make this happen. And what happened is the owner of the company realized one day that, he's a good marketing guy, but boy, he really, every time he's on operations, we don't miss a beat. So he transferred me and made me operations director. So I was in charge of putting together the teams to run the events. That company, he retired, and I was hired by an ad agency to do the same function. They had national clients. I ran golf tournaments in Arizona for national clients and things like that.
That's fun.
Yeah.
And what brought me to Shea's was going through, Pat Fagan was the president at the time, and they did the Stagehouse expansion.
Yep.
Yeah.
And after being shut down, they wanted to open with a bang. Now, the Broadway people were coming back because everybody wanted to see it. But they had started a program, I forget what it was. It was kind of like our young people's thing that we're doing.
Oh, our young professionals now.
It was called the Rising Stars.
Oh, love that.
Back then.
Yeah.
And they were trying to get younger people in the theater. So they said, we want to have an event. They contact the agency, and we want to have an event that would get younger theater people into the theater and see the new stage and everything. And so they brought me in, and I took a tour, and I met, the people that were administration at the time, and said, what do you want to do? And I said, why don't we just bring everybody on stage and have a big party? And so it was similar to the 100th anniversary thing.
I was going to say.
January. That's where that
idea came from.
That makes sense.
We did it the first time.
Yes.
And they liked it so much that they had us do a number of other fundraising events. We never got to touch the gala. That was development's job, but other fundraisers throughout the year.
Are you sure you don't want it?
No. Charler's got it down.
Cassandra has it down?
I don't know.
Are you sure you don't want it?
I try to stay out of the way and make it as efficient as possible.
Thank you very much.
That you do.
But after doing a number of events, what happened is the agency I was working for, they sold the agency to somebody else.
Oh.
And a week after, all of us were let go because they bought the agency to get the accounts.
Sure.
And so I was out of work for a while. I had a newborn son at home. Wow. But Tony Conti, who was the president then, and Jeff Bagel, who was the development director, they were references for me because I was interviewing all over the place. And I was just about to accept a job going back out on the road again for Nickelodeon Networks.
Oh, wow.
When I got
exciting.
a phone call from the general manager at the time, Scott, and said, hey, our production guy is leaving. Would you be interested? And I said, when do you want to see me? Came down and talked for about an hour. And then a day later, they offered me the job. Wow. And about half an hour after I got the offer for Nickelodeon. But I didn't want to travel with I'd been at home with my son.
Yeah. Got a cute kiddo. Yeah, you can't be doing that.
And so here I am 23 years
Can we talk about Tony Conti and the Gala, or is that not allowed? Is that public?
Yeah.
We're honoring Tony at this year's Gala, right?
Yay.
What's the award called?
Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah. And Tony accepted it. I think he said he's going to do it, right? Yeah, I like Tony. Tony comes to the lounge sometimes.
That's awesome. He, you know, when I'm sitting there, you're unemployed for a year, and you've put a lot of effort in your career. And I'm wondering, you know, I'm just turned 40. What's my life going to be like going forward? And Tony Conti gave me the second chapter of my work life. And that's why, like, I'm the one who gets up at meetings sometimes and tries to preach the gospel of this place is bigger than all of us.
No, it's good when you do, Bill.
You did that the last meeting.
Yeah.
It was very nice. Yeah. The last, and I also now know what advancing a show means.
I know. I had a
every
feeling
time Robert goes, Bill, did you advance this show yet? This show, and I'm like, what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah. You have to have a really keen attention to details with production that I find so impressive. You, Sean, Mo, you guys do such phenomenal work here. Bill, what was the first show you guys did then under Tony Conti? Like your first show in your new life?
Oh, yeah. Good question.
I have my first...
Yay.
My first show at Shea's after being named senior production manager was a concert by Engelbert Humperdinck.
What a name.
Right. He's a singer mostly from the 60s, you know. And if you remember Tom Jones, you know, similar, you know, one of those guys. And but you know, he had his audience, you know, it was older women that, you know, just, and they would come and they would throw flowers and do anything.
Oh my God.
And he comes out and it talks, you know, it's just, you know, like, you know, just, or a Tony Bennett kind of guy, you know, it's just that kind of thing. And so we get there and show loads in, no problem. Sound check, no problem. Half an hour before the show's about to start, I get a call from Maureen in the box office. Says, "Hey, where's the settlement?" And I said, "The what?"
Oh no!
She goes, "The settlement." Part of my job is you have to provide all the financial details, all the labor that was spent, materials used, and everything. Put in a spreadsheet, turn to the box office so they can divvy up the money and everybody
and it has to happen quickly.
Nobody had bothered to explain that was a requirement of my job. Within 30 seconds, our operations general manager Scott is in my office, and he's like, it was a spreadsheet he had designed, so he's like talking me through it and doing that. So that was the first thing. Okay.
Oh my God, trial by fire.
I get that in and I go backstage, go down into the catering area, and the band is down there eating. The stagehands have eaten, you know, whatever, but the band's down there and the background singers are there, and here comes Engelbert down the stairs, and he walks into catering and he looks at his background singers and says, "What are you doing?" and I'm like, "What?" And he's like angry, you know.
Engelbert.
He goes, "I told you no eating before the show."
Oh no!
And the women are like, "But I'm hungry." And I'm like watching this play out, and I'm thinking,
"Oh no!
Wow, okay." So this man has
showbiz.
Is very intent. So I get through that, but the show was a success. Everybody has a good time. It's over. And then we're in the middle of the loadout, and I'm in the green room kind of watching the security monitors, talking to people, everything else, and all of a sudden I hear this shouting from the loading dock. Okay, what now? And I run out there, and I'm with the steward, and he was older. This is the old guard, you know, but the steward says, "Yeah, we're having an altercation." I go, "No, we're not having an altercation. This has to stop right now." Well, what had happened is two of the truck loaders got into an argument, and one guy pulled out a knife and actually cut.
Are you kidding me?
We had to call the ambulance. We had to file a police report. We had to, do all this stuff. And the guy, but I've been through worse in other events in my history, so I'm just rolling with it. And I'm like, guys, this isn't a show. You have a job to do. Everybody back to work. We'll handle this.
Put the knives down.
Get through the thing. So the week after that, the next event, some of the guys say, wow, I'm sorry that happened on your first day and everything. And I said, well, that's okay. I decided to institute a policy so that everybody's on the same page. Everybody gets one free stabbing a year. And as time goes forward, if you don't use your stabbing, then the next year you can double up and it turns into a bludgeoning.
Okay.
So I made a joke out of it.
Yeah.
Everybody thought, this guy's funny. It's not going to be a problem.
Right. You didn't harp on the little knives.
So that was the first day. And then the next show was David Copperfield. And that was when the elevator broke down and wouldn't operate. And we had 5 over 1,000-pound road cases in the magic lab on the second floor of the stage house that we had to hump down the stairs.
Oh, no.
I had to double the size of the crew. There are still chunks out of the stairs back there.
Bill, do you know what year that was? David Copperfield? Because I saw David Copperfield.
That would have been fall of 2000.
That I was here. That's one of my very first memories of Shea's is going to see David Copperfield here, because all the magic specials in the 90s, they used to have all the big magicians would do all these TV specials, and my parents brought me. Yeah. That's one of my very first memories of Shea's, seeing David, and he was really late. Like, David Copperfield started super late. I remember waiting.
Well, it's probably
for him to start.
He is like that.
And now I know why. It's because the elevator broke.
Like that. No.
I'm kidding.
And when we were, I was joking around with his tour manager. Said, "Wait a minute, he's a magician. Why do I have to bring in extra guys to hump the stuff? Can't he just snap? Goes, gets in the truck.
Good point, Bill.
Yeah, I remember seeing that show.
Teleport it.
I loved it.
It's the magic of David Copperfield. So maybe that magic is not one that he owns.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
I thought it was great. I loved it.
Clearly, it was a good show. I
still remember the show Matinee. Speaking of Matinee, it's whatever now, but they still have the poster of David Copperfield. That I remember always seeing that when I would go there.
Oh my god!
Yeah, yep. That's one of my first memories of Shea's.
I mean, Bill, you have shared a few smattering of anecdotes throughout the years, and even this year, I was blown away by you and Chris sort of finagling.
That was great.
David Byrne and Johnny Marr to meet behind the scenes. What are some of your crazier stories that you can share that we won't get a cease and desist?
I have a couple of favorites, but one of which I'm not going to tell because
cease and desist.
Yeah.
I think my personal favorite is I'm a music geek. I always have been.
Yes.
I've always been in bands and always love all types and styles. But there are certain icons in your life. I didn't bat an eye about paying crazy money to see a Beatle. It's there are things you do. So we had David Bowie coming to Shea.
Oh my god, that's so cool.
And not was he just coming to Shea's, he was coming in early because they were 3 dates into their tour, and they wanted to add some more material and run a rehearsal in the afternoon, right? So tour gets here. They put extra guys on because they wanted to get everything built as quickly as possible so they could get things going. Sure. So we get everything built. It's lunchtime, whatever. And I'm sitting in catering with the tour manager, and he's looking at his watch, and he goes, "Oh, jeez." I go, "What?" He goes, "I'm really tied up. I got something to tend to. Bill, just get David off the bus." I go, "What?" You got, inside me, 13-year-old me is going, "What?" Okay. So he says, "No, just go to the bus, knock on the door, and driver opens or just say it's time." And I said, "Okay." And so there's a little rain coming down. I grab an umbrella, just that's what you do. Walk out to the bus. Before I even knock, the door opens up, and then the driver kind of looks at me, and then I hear this voice lofting down the aisle of the bus. "Is it time then?"
Oh.
And I'm like, "Yes." And he comes down, and he comes down the bus stairs and reaches out. He goes, "Hi, I'm David." I go, I'm Bill. Good to meet you. He goes, great. So I guess, can you show me where I'm going? Yeah. So I walk him into the theater. I think I'm going to get this man right on the elevator, get him to his people because I'm freaking out.
Right. Yeah, I'd be
freaking out. Yeah. And we walk in the theater and he walks out to center stage and he sees all the red seats and he goes, oh, this is lovely. Oh. When was it built? And then it turned into like a 10-minute Q&A. Wow. David Bowie and I, him asking about Shea's, asking about me, asking about everything. And I'm just so cool. Starstruck. But I'm, outside, I'm trying to keep my professional, but inside, I'm just like,
yes.
So then he goes, well, I suppose we better get going. So I get him in the elevator, whatever, get him to his tour manager. Things are great. I had seats that night, right?
Right, because you're a fan.
Playing there. In one of the songs, he threw out a quick shout out to the crew, and he says, and I want to thank Bill, who introduced me to the theater today. Like,
oh, my God.
My buddies that I'm with, are like,
Were you like, I shook my hand with his, I'll never watch it again?
Almost. But then after the show, I had to work the load. I went to work the load out. And he comes down from the dressing room with his guy and stuff. And he walks out on stage, and he's one of these guys. Neil Young's the same way. They try to thank every stagehand.
That was so casual, Bill. Yeah.
And he walks over to me and says, thank you so much for your time today.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, my time?
Your time, sir.
David freaking Bowie. But just such a pleasant man. And it just like, the one thing that did, though, something, someone that you idolize growing up, but then when you meet them as real people, they really are real people.
Yeah.
I've met, this made my mom happy. She was a big fan of the Carol Burnett show. I met Carol Burnett, and I met Harvey Korman, and I met Tim Conway in this job at different times. But just to have the privilege of meet some of these icons,
right?
Whether they be Broadway tour people or comedians or. Like George Carlin was the nicest man. I really, he was somebody that just blew me away with his brilliance and creativity. But, and really great moments. I mean, I had dinner with John Lithgow.
What?
When he was here for
he just won a Tony.
Week at 7:10. Yeah. Well, I had dinner with him.
That's cool, Bill.
So, it's been a privilege, though, and the one thing I've learned too over the years is that most of these folks are really are grounded. They know where they came from, and they're happy to still be doing what they're doing. And if you just give them kindness and respect and treat them like professionals and don't be fans, they love it. They love it,
right?
And most of them are very gracious. Not all.
Well, it sounds like you are a gracious host and 716 liaison, and I'm so glad that your career has been just like both exciting and filled with your heroes. That's so exciting. Like, we don't talk a lot about the backstage of Shea's very often on this podcast. So for folks to know that not only are talent coming through and they're having a good time, but they're, they feel at home with us is, I feel like, such a cool scoop to share.
That's why I take, the nuts and bolts stuff, the logistics. A lot of people can do that, but being able to do that and be able to create a good working environment with your teams, and then also be a good host. It's a lot of juggling, but I love the challenge of it, and it's provided me with joy and growth over the years.
So you kind of went over this a little bit, but what is like a typical Broadway week like for you and your team?
Oh, like when I'm in the meetings and it's typical Broadway week?
Yes.
That too. You say that too, and I'm like, sounds good to me.
He's got this on lock.
Broadway week. It starts with what we call the house strip. Anything that's in the way from whatever's been before has to be removed. So we have guys come in and do that. If they're stage plot says that our movie screen is in the way, then we had to bring in riggers to move our giant movie screen from the front of the stage to upstage.
Fun.
So we get everything cleared out. Then on load-in, or most Broadways do like a 2-day load-in. Mm-hmm. The techs take a lot longer, but generally you get the first day is all the big infrastructure stuff, like the foundation of your house,
sure,
all the rigging, and then opening day is what they call show to show. So that's where, the props and the costumes and everybody shows up. Wardrobe usually comes in mid-morning to start steaming and pressing and repairing and doing their things. And then by the time we get back from lunch, we're focusing, getting all the lighting, checking everything out. They're doing sound check. They're doing that. Typically, there'll be an orchestra. If they have a live orchestra that's not touring and they're using local musicians, we'll have a rehearsal going on in the lobby.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Opening morning.
Love those days.
And then in the afternoon, the cast arrives. They get kind of acclimated to the dressing rooms, and generally around 4 or 5 in the afternoon, they have a company meeting, usually in the house, where they talk about what's going on for the week, who's off on vacation, who's stepping in here. We're going to have rehearsals on these days.
They plan it out a little bit.
Set the thing. And then, we fire up Curtis, the organist, and we open the house, and off we go. And then throughout the week, during the day, it's generally quiet. In the mornings, typically, they'll call in labor if they need to kind of fix something, adjust something, do something, work calls. If there are any kind of rehearsals, they can be full-blown rehearsals. It could be just a few people doing lines on stage. Those will be in the afternoon. And then the evenings and the matinee doing the show. And then when it's all done, after the last curtain goes down, then we got to tear it down and load it back on the truck so it can go off to the next city. And typically, we start loading about 9:30 on a Sunday night, and I'm out of here about 4 or 5 in the morning on Monday morning.
Oh, my
gosh. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. The turnaround time is nuts. It's like you're never here.
That's a typical Broadway week. And they all pretty much follow the same template. You have bigger shows that take 3 days, like Frozen and Beauty, like the Disney stuff tends to take 3. And then you have smaller ones where you can knock it out in a single day, like South's was pretty concise. So,
what was like the most difficult load-in you've ever had? Or like, what's a show that you're like, this is coming, this is going to be all hands on deck, going to have to think this through?
It doesn't tour anymore, but the single biggest event we did, and we did it twice a year, was the Radio City Christmas Spectacular.
Really? It was the Radio City show?
It was Radio City. They picked two cities a season to go. The first time we had them, we were the first city, and they run for a month, and then they go to Cleveland. They went to Cleveland.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
And it is old school Broadway. We have 82 line sets. We have one of the biggest stage houses in the United States. Right. They used almost every single line set. There's not a lot of rigging. And the highlight of the show, at the very last thing they do, is they do the live nativity.
Animals.
Real camels and real donkeys and real everything. And because... And the cast, between the Rockettes, who have all their needs, and there was all the little people that played all the elves, they had their rider and their needs. I mean, there were so many moving parts.
Right.
It was just whatever. But we all worked together. We built it. It was an incredible show. But at the 11th hour, we had something that we weren't sure how we were going to recover from. The animals, there were sheep, there's a donkey or two, there were, the camels and everything. The Buffalo Zoo is going to put them up for us. Right?
Oh, like a hotel.
We had worked out an arrangement with them, kind of a co-pro thing with marketing, barter swap, whatever. We're good. We've got, the animal handlers know what's going on, the zoo's good, everything's good. And then less than a week before we opened, it turned out that some of the sheep had a virus.
Oh no!
And they couldn't be housed at the Buffalo Buffalo Zoo, because of the mountain sheep or something there were susceptible to it. It
oh my God!
Kill them. So under no certain terms are any of your animals coming to our zoo.
Oh,
and we're like, what are we going to do? Well, turns out from my trade show days, I knew the folks at the fair.
Yes. Oh my God.
And we were able to house everybody down there, but instead of, having a short drive to the city.
Like an hour long.
Because what would happen is the animals, they're at their place, and then they put them on the trailers and they bring them to Shea's. Our entire loading dock was an animal pen. Like the garage. Right? Mm-hmm. With hay and everything and whatever. And they unload into there, and then we close the door, and then they live there during the day. And then when it's time for them to do their show, they walk up a ramp to the loading platform, down the ramp, onto the stage, go through and, with the wise men and do their stuff, then back up the ramp and back into the pen and whatever. And the thing is, during that run, we would do, Saturday was 4 show days. Sunday was 3 show days.
No.
Right? And generally 2 shows every night. I mean, it was a crazy schedule.
Right.
And at the end of the night, just go back on the pen. Out there, they had 2 people that their job was to clean the garage every night.
God.
Oh, no.
Clean the garage every night. Just incredible and really great people. And it was through Radio City being here that I got to meet. They hired a lot of the best producers from New York and technical people.
Yeah.
And I got to meet a lot of them. And it turns out a lot of these folks ended up being with companies on the road show. So there are people that come through here.
Sure.
And I say, remember Radio City in 2004? It's like,
and they're traumatized instantly.
Yes. But it's amazing the connections that you make in this business, especially when you've been around a while. But that took every ounce of creativity and planning that we could throw at it.
I'm like floored right now because I was like, what would you do after the zoo? And I completely forgot about the fairgrounds. But that's crazy. Yeah. That's some good problem solving right there, sir.
Well, the show must go on.
Yes.
That's the way it is. You find a way.
Period. Wow. Oh my gosh. I'm like, whoa.
Put him in the bistro.
Put him in the bistro.
The overflow, like we do at the lounge. Put him in the bistro.
Oh my God. Keys. So, Bill, we've already heard some pretty great stories from you. I'm going to be thinking about them the rest of the month. Any other quick little stories you have before we let you go back to some well-earned rest this summer?
Yeah, I want to tell my favorite.
Yes, please. Yeah, favorite.
It's another one of those. We had an artist that was booked the theater for a couple extra days because they wanted to rehearse.
Okay.
And that artist was James Taylor.
Oh.
And James Taylor's an old favorite of mine, so I was really excited. Yeah. So first day, we get it loaded in the morning. They dismiss most of the crew by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm thinking, I'm going to leave my office door open because I'm going to get to listen to James Taylor by myself for like a couple afternoons. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Free concert.
Well, so I'm sitting doing some work, and all of a sudden I hear this noise. It's like a bump, bump, thud, bump, bump, crash, bump, bump, thud, bump, bump, crash. And it stops. And I go, I wonder what that is. But, maybe they're sound checking or something. Go back. A few minutes later, bump, bump, thud, bump, bump, crash, bump, bump, thud, bump, bump, crash. Then it stops again. And I'm like, this is very strange. Well, this went on for a good 20, 30 minutes. Finally said, okay, I can't focus anymore. I get up. And I go out, and my office is behind the organ pipes, so the house right box. I can walk out and kind of see what's going on stage.
Right.
And on stage, there are 2 guys kind of dressed in flight suits, like overalls, jumpsuit type things. And they've got tool belts on and stuff. And there's this contraption. Now, when the load-in was going on, I was seeing things go up, and I'm not really paying attention. I'm dealing with a multitude of things. Right. But I'm looking at the set, and the whole back of the set is this huge machine. It looks like if you played the game Mousetrap when you were a kid. You know, you build it and you turn the crank and it sends the ball and things happen and boom. You know, that's the whatever. So it was a machine like that, but it had this big drum, like you would see in like a commercial dryer. And on the outside of it were like these kind of fiberglass-ish shark fins. Think of a music box, like the music box, and the metal wheel that spins, and each, little tab hits a note, right? These fins would hit a lever. The lever would trigger either a mallet or a stick or something, and it would hit an actual drum or cymbal or wood block or something that's buried in this machine somewhere. So these guys, what they're doing is no, that's not quite right. And they're going up to the big wheel and they're taking the fin out and moving it and then putting it in another slot and tightening it down. And they walk over and it's kind of like Frankenstein, with a big lever. They're pulling a big lever. I know they probably could have pushed a button, but I think for the
theatricality of it,
and the big wheel starts turning, and you see the things in, and it's bump, bump, crash, bump, thump, doing it over and over again. And I go, wow, that's really fascinating. So I decide, I'm going to go up and talk to these guys about this, So I said, hi, I'm Bill. I'm the, production manager here. This is fascinating. What is this? And the guy says, well, my neighbor and I, wanted to put this together, and for James, and because he's an old friend from Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard, wherever he lived. But I'm an inventor and so on and so forth. And I'm like, wow, this is really fascinating. And then I go to the guy. I said, so what does James think of it? And the guy standing next to him turns and looks and says, I like it very much.
Get out. Get out.
It was James Taylor working with his neighbor on a machine that's going to play for one song a mechanical drum part.
And they're both in the same.
And they're both in the suits. I had no idea. And I'm looking, and he just started laughing. Well, the next day he actually did do some rehearsing and whatever, and then we had the show. But all throughout the rest of the time here, every time. Like we'd be down in catering and I'd be sitting with the crew or whatever, and he'd come in and get something to drink or whatever, and he'd go, hi, how's everybody doing? Great. And then he'd look at me and go, by the way, my name's Shea. So it became kind of the running joke of the week. And then when they were done and loading out, he came up and shook my hand and said, thank you for being such a good sport, Bill. And it was just like, hey, but that moment of shock and realization that this guy I've been treating like anybody else, like just somebody with a rep. It's like, one of the greatest singer-songwriters of all time. So
casual.
Yeah, casual.
It's a casual day. That's an amazing story. Yeah, I kind of touched on this story briefly, but Bill was a really good sport this year. And when David Byrne came through, Johnny Marr from the Smiths was next door at Electric City. And my husband, who was on the pod before, really wanted them to just high five, maybe get them to do a song together. Like he had visions of grandeur.
Machinations.
He did.
Yeah.
And Bill was like, listen, like we can't do all this stuff. It's not going to work. We've talked to the folks, but I can sneak Johnny over. And so you guys, while they were doing tech and everything, snuck Johnny Marr into Shea's and let them catch up for the first time in it had to have been years.
It'd been a while. Johnny had played on one of Dave's albums.
And Chris was so geeked, and you were like, oh, I've got stories. And so I've been waiting to hear these stories since then.
Yeah, no, it was, so we got him together. They were talking back by the elevator, and then Dave says, why don't you come up, John?
Yeah.
So whatever. So I'm leaving them to their devices, and then David looks at me and says, well, you're coming, right?
That's so cool.
I'm like, okay. Yeah. So I ride up to the second floor with Johnny Marr and David Byrne. Yours truly. And, I stood at the end of the hall, and those two just had a conversation for about 20 minutes like they were old mates.
Yeah.
Just whatever. But I knew that I've been given kind of a timeline.
Yes,
when
yes.
John has to get back.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So they ended, and I get John in the elevator, bring him down, and we're, here's Chris, and we're walking him out, and we decide to walk through the house because it'll be quicker than going around. Well,
oh no,
Johnny's like, look at this place.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And I'm like, I go, here it comes. So when was it built?
The Q&A.
But it was, I kept it to about 5 minutes or so. And then, Chris was able to get him back to where he belonged.
Yes.
But very nice man, again, most of the artists that come through have a genuine appreciation of the venue.
Yes.
And the audiences that they depend on.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So speaking of stars and talented musicians, this episode is coming out Monday, July 13th, which means that this evening you will be performing at the Slow Roll for Shea's Buffalo and Shea 710 with your band.
Oh,
Woo!
Yeah, IoT, which stands for nothing. I ordered tacos. It's only Tuesday, There are others, but it's a polite podcast today. But yeah, no, it's a band I put together about 10 years now with some friends from the music community. We had all done our thing. We'd all been in bands. We'd all put out CDs. We all done this stuff. And we just wanted to play music that we like. And we did a little research and realized that there are a lot of songs that people really like and nobody else plays. So we do that.
You do it very well.
And we try to mix it up. We're lucky enough to have Juliana.
I had so much fun
a couple of times. Last year, and then for the 100th.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I love singing with you guys.
Yes.
Because we are the most difficult band in Buffalo.
Yes. Yeah. With the production manager extraordinaire, very difficult band.
No, but we have a good time, and we just try to, have fun with it. And, it's the first band I've been in since I was 17 years old that we have no drama.
I love it.
Nice.
Yes, folks, please come see Bill and his band IoT. Come join us for Slow Roll. Bill, I'm going to let you go get some much earned rest, but anything else you want to shout out before we let you go today, sir?
No, I'm just thrilled you guys are doing this.
Yay, thank you.
I love the podcast medium. It takes me back to my old radio days. But, being able to have it on demand and listen when you want.
Yeah.
Right.
Is instead of everybody tune in at 7 o'clock.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, and you're doing a great job with it. I've enjoyed many episodes so far.
Thank you, Bill. Do not be a stranger. We will have you back. So keep any weird or fun stories that happen this year.
I'm blown away by these stories.
I know, right?
And all the people you've met, and just unbelievable. And like Bill said, nobody realizes how much goes on behind the scenes. What you say, for every actor, there's two people or whatever. And quite frankly, I didn't know that before I started working here. And I took it for granted, but they're tremendous.
Yes.
We have such a great team.
Thank you to all of our backstage folks, from Bill, Sean, and Mo, to all of our wonderful stage hands.
Absolutely incredible.
Everyone. All right. Well, on that lovely note, thank you again, Bill, and some quick campus shout outs. Come check out Bill and his band at Slow Roll tonight at Shea's Buffalo starting at 4:30, and they'll be performing at Shea 710 at the end of the ride. So make sure you make it all the way to the end. Tickets are now on sale for the North American Tour premiere of Buena Vista Social Club, playing at Shea's Buffalo Theater from September 12th through the 19th. Groups requesting 10 or more tickets can contact Mary O'Shea at 716-829-1153 or MOSHEI@shays.org. I'm going to make that into a chant. Ticket prices start at under $63 all in. Additional ticket information is available at Shea's box office at 650 Main or online at shays.org/performances/buena-vista-social-club. We got there, folks.
That whole thing could be a chant.
I'm going to make it.
Is it Mary O'Shea's last name?
It was.
Yeah, it was.
You just, I was going to say, what do you know?
MOSHEI.
What are you doing?
O'Shea.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's Monday. All right. To learn more about the Shea's expansion and ways to be a part of our next century of wonder, visit shays.org/elevate Shea's. And season tickets for Shea's 710 and Shea's Buffalo are available now. Visit us at shays.org or at the Shea's box office at 650 Main. Until next time, we hope you enjoyed the vibes, got some tea. Check us out on Shea's Buffalo social media. And the next time, Ken, why don't you advance us out?
Oh, S. Oh, shit. Oh, sorry.
We have to censor the end. We almost made it.
Cast Party is presented by Shea's Performing Arts Center.
Produced by Cassandra Lippert, Ken Lazewski, myself, Juliana Tracy, and Rita Sirianni.
Theme song by John Michael Ogletree.
Audio mixing by Dave Lenhart.
Logo and graphics designed by Acacia Crozier.
Marketing and social media by Bridget Neeson.
Please rate, review, and subscribe to Shea's Performing Arts Center presents Cast Party, wherever exceptional podcasts are downloaded.
Or visit us at shays.org.
Bye-bye.